What is up? Coming to you live from the jungle, the home of the tiger. It's time for another episode of Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast, the Monday edition, the December 7th. It's December already. Time just slips through your fingers. Episode number 203. And it's been a week. I thought the busiest I was going to be at work was the day after Black Friday, but I have been sorely mistaken. We have been selling old video games left and right. As my boss say, we sell old. My boss says we sell old games and we sell bad games. Those are the things we sell the most. If you go to our Instagram, you can see one of the games that's doing incredibly well called It's Fantasy Friends. As I keep calling it, it's a wannabe My Little Pony. And it's from our friends at Merge Games. It's a publisher in the UK that we're partnered with. We're the exclusive distributor of their games here in America. So whatever they put out, we're the ones primarily responsible for making sure they get sent out here in America. And good God, Amazon has bought thousands of copies of that game. I am not joking. It is ridiculous. And then we're selling it ourselves through our own retail channels and wholesale channels. It's just, it boggles the mind sometimes. I saw our good friend Damon replied to it. He's saying, he thinks, it's people handing off their Switches to their little brothers and sisters because they got their PS5s and Xbox Ones. My boss, he has a different perspective on that. He believes that the Nintendo Switch is the Wii 2.0. It's all the casual gamers have now found this wonderful device that they can play anywhere, and it's basically just a bunch of casual games. Because our number one game right now, especially in these last couple weeks of holiday sales, has been Carnival Games, which is basically the exact same game that came out for the Wii, that Ubisoft has been like, hey, wait a minute, this will work again. So Carnival Games, because if those of you gamers remember that super successful piece of shovelware, I was telling my boss, I think that was one of the non-Nintendo titles that sold well over 1 million units, or it might have been the first one, not the first non-Nintendo title that sold over 1 million units, like, for the Wii. And I guess the geniuses at Ubisoft was like, hey, let's put this out again. Let's just take the game, because the Joy-Cons are basically like Wii remotes. And yeah, like my boss bought a few thousand of them, and we have been burning through them. We're selling like a few hundred a day. It's like, it's insane. It's the Wii all over again. You get your Mario Karts, you get your Smash Brothers, but you also get your shovelware. We have all kinds of wonderful. I will be sharing photos of this. I will show different pieces of this one. I might just do a picture of Carnival Games tomorrow or the next day, so to supplement today's episode, so you can see. Oh, look, this game is doing incredibly well too. We're selling Race with Ryan, the Ryan's Toy Review. He has his own video game, and that game is selling really well for Nintendo Switch, and ironically doing okay on Xbox One, but doing horribly on PS4. The game is on all the systems, but naturally it's doing the best on the Nintendo Switch. So it's been very chaotic at work. We have thousands of games going out the door. It's chaos. I literally left work theoretically early. I'm like, sorry bosses, I gotta go do my podcast. I gotta go help take care of my family. I got to go. I can't stay here till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock like you managers do. I'm middle management. I gotta go. It's wild. It's just like the e-commerce. Obviously, e-commerce is incredibly high in demand right now, because we're all supposed to be staying home because of this pandemic going on. And so we have been overwhelmed. It's to the point where, I don't know if any of you have seen how UPS has been telling retailers that, we're not picking up your packages. We have too many. Sorry, we're not picking up your shit. And that has happened to us a few times last week, where we're like, hey, we got a whole truckload of stuff, and UPS is like, nah, we ain't coming. It's like, I'm sorry, what? You're not going to come pick up these 20,000 packages that we have that need to be picked up. They need to go out to people who are buying their Christmas gifts through us, because apparently the number one thing people need for Christmas is more games. Yeah, it's insane. I think we literally had to pay someone to go take our stuff to the UPS facility. We're like, all right, we can't have our entire dock covered in packages. These need to be put into the system. It's insane. E-commerce is overwhelmed. Amazon is overwhelmed. UPS is overwhelmed. Every logistics company out there is overwhelmed right now because obviously people are either cannot shop or are not shopping physically, so they're just doing it all online, which I mean, on one hand is great for our company, but also horrible because we are overwhelmed. Every aspect of e-commerce is completely and utterly overwhelmed right now, because no one could have prepared for this. Even Amazon was not ready for this. Amazon basically, like, the reason why UPS wasn't picking up packages, because apparently Amazon was basically holding UPS hostage, like, you're gonna take care of our packages first. This is not an option. You're gonna smoke this shit. And they're like, all right, screw everyone. And I saw CNN is like, the UPS was telling specific retailers, sorry, we're not picking up from you. Everything's bonkers crazy right now. It's upside down and inside out. And I will share more ridiculous. I was trying to find. Oh, were you trying to stay off camera?
Yeah.
No, you can be on camera if you want, wife. You used to be on camera all the time. All right, you're gonna sneak. You want me to move the camera so you can? Right here, I'll move the camera. That way you have a wider berth. There you go. You can escape. Oh, your shoulder got in there. Your shoulder snuck in. No, you don't have to apologize to me. You're the one who didn't want to be camera. I don't mind if you're on camera. Man, it's been crazy at work. I'm working 7 days a week right now because it's that nuts because of. Because normally we're open 7 because we're our company. We're just Monday through Friday. We let all the weekend orders roll over to Monday, but we can't do that. If we let the weekend orders roll over to Monday, we'll die. We'll be like, well, we're coming to Monday morning. I'm like, well, we have to ship 20,000 packages today. Ugh, that's not good. So it's been very stressful. So I've been the wife and I have been trying to help me de-stress. So this past weekend we watched more media than we normally would. We'll get to that in a second. But I want to cover the biggest media thing that happened last week. I nearly forgot about it, but thankfully, as I was writing down my notes for today's episode, I remembered, and I was like, oh, okay. So HBO Max, you know, the most recent streaming service that is, well, converted streaming service. It used to just be regular old HBO Now. But Warner Brothers made the big announcement that all their movies, their movie slate for 2021, starting from Christmas on, they're going to simultaneously release the movies that would have been in theaters at the same time, also on HBO Max. So if you're an HBO Max subscriber, you'll be able to watch Wonder Woman on Christmas Day, or Wonder Woman 1984, the new one. You'll be able to watch the new Dune movie when that comes out. You'll be able to watch The Matrix 4 whenever that is supposed to come out in 2021. A number of other films. All of Warner Brothers theatrical films are going to be simultaneously released on HBO Max at the same time as the theaters. Well, currently right now, there's no, I mean, I think there's some states where some of the theaters are open. Here in California, there are no theaters open as far as I know. I don't think a single theater in LA or Orange County is open to my knowledge. I could be wrong, but yeah, there ain't no theaters, and all the theater companies are in trouble. I mean, obviously, your Regals, your AMCs. I feel bad for the smaller theaters. Like I've mentioned before, there's this little theater in Pasadena, the Academy 6, where it's a second run theater where, like, if you miss a movie the first time around, you can go there and watch it for $3.50. The seat might not be that comfortable, but you get what you pay for. You're not paying $15 to $20 to watch a movie. I remember the wife and I last year, while she was still pregnant, we went to go watch what was it? Godzilla, King of the Dinosaurs there. And you know what? Totally fine. Still a movie theater. But naturally, this big announcement caused all sorts of contempt and discussion all over social media because like, oh, what does this mean? Is this good? Is this bad? I guess the most simplistic approach I can approach this, in my expert opinion, is that this is in the short term. This is great for consumers. Like someone like me, like I am busy. I have a little boy who's going to turn 11 months this week. I had no plans of getting to the theater anytime soon. At least not for the next couple of years. There was no, like, I was going to wait for everything to hit streaming. So for a consumer like me, this is not necessarily bad because we're subscribed to HBO now, or HBO Max in this house. We're a streaming house. We believe we subscribe to Netflix. We subscribe to Disney Plus. We subscribe to Hulu. We have HBO Max. Some people go, you're insane. You're paying just as much as cable. It's like, okay, whatever. We throw down about $50-$60 for all these streaming services. That's perfectly fine. You know, like I personally don't see anything wrong with this. I personally drop about $10-$20 on wrestling streaming services on my end. So it's like, this is the way of the world. If you want to watch current content, you have to subscribe to these services. Yeah. And see, there you go, Anthony. So yeah, it works for you. You invested in a badass sound system. You know, clearly, you know, sometimes if you have that great home theater, it might actually be better than going to the theater instead of having to deal with people on their phones or stepping on a sticky floor. I know some of these like theaters nowadays are like, they're really nice and like comfy, but they really have the leather seats that recline. Honestly, I'm not a super big fan. Yeah, right. I found out I was paying the same price for regular HBO. It's like, right, you just flip over to the streaming one. You're like, screw you, regular HBO. I'm going to get the streaming one and then just get all the cool stuff there. Yeah, so you switch to HBO Max. Yeah, I don't know. Some people, I think they just like to complain for the sake of complaining instead of actually. It's people who are not using the services who complain the most, I think. Yeah, it's HBO Max. It's been working for us. My wife, she can watch an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm anytime she wants. At some point, I'm going to finally sit down and watch the rest. I watched the first episode of Watchmen. I got to watch the rest of them. And then that was even before they flipped it over to Max, and they got all that other stuff. I want to watch the Fresh Prince reunion because, you know, I'm a child of the 90s. I want to see that kind of stuff. This is the way of the world. If you want to watch stuff, you got to stream it. Unless you are a pirate, Jolly Roger of the Seven Seas, and you want to stream everything and steal everything. Jai Polidor, you know, finding nefarious ways. You know, me, I'm very much a normal consumer when it comes to that. I just want the most direct, straight line without having to do anything extra. Like, what? It's going to cost me $10, $12, $15 a month. Sure, I'm paying for convenience. Other people, maybe if you can't afford that, you know, then more power to you. I'm not telling you to not steal it. I'm just telling you that I'm not the person who's going to, you know, steal someone else's login or use some weird site to, like Jai watches, I guess, all kinds of stuff illegally through his phone. I cannot imagine the litany of viruses and malware that are in his phone right now. Because just because it's free doesn't mean there isn't a cost somewhere along the line. There's always a catch. Just because it's a website, hey, cool, hey, what? When I used to illegally stream WWE pay-per-views, I noticed my old computer performance would start getting a little dodgy. So I'm glad that they were like ironically, they were the forerunners of this whole streaming service. Put everything on a streaming service and charge them $10 a month, and instead of hoping someone will spend $60 once a year, then you get them for $120 a year. You get a dedicated base, and all of a sudden, hey, look, revenue. Of course, you don't want that Netflix model where I think they're burning through money creating shows, but then some of those shows will actually get a little popular, and they'll cancel them because their business model for the shows was really ridiculous. Like, unless it's like a Stranger Things, that it's not financially viable for them to keep a show going. I mean, with Stranger Things, they can sell a bunch of merch, but for some other stuff, like that on the merch, then the licensing, they get their money back on the back end, so they can afford to keep the show going. Because if in all these deals, if a Netflix show keeps going beyond season 2 or season 3, the production costs go up exponentially for reasons. I was reading about that. That's why you see a lot of these shows only last 1 or 2 seasons. It's like, all right, we're done. And Netflix is like, is it worth it to keep you guys going? No. Can we monetize you? Then we'll keep you going. Yeah, thank you. Exactly. Daniel Wong brings up the one show, the show like where I've been burned. Glow. That show was awesome. Allison Brie and freaking crazy ass Mark Maron. And all the rest of the amazing cast of Glow. Awesome show. It was supposed, ironically, that was one that was supposed to continue, but because of the pandemic, Netflix was like, we're not going to wait around however long it's going to, they're going to have to sit and wait to be safe to shoot that show. Because especially that show, a lot of the women have to get up real close to one another during the wrestling scenes. So a lot of things, of course, production in LA, because they actually produced that show here in Los Angeles. So that was probably going to be another set of hoops they have to jump through, because a lot of these other shows are getting around because they're going to other states, or they go to, in some cases, I'm sure they're going to other countries to film. I saw The Rock was finishing a movie, but he was finishing it in Europe. I guess certain places in Europe have the pandemic, and well, actually, they probably don't have the pandemic in better control. They're probably just a little bit loose with the rules of like, oh, yeah, go ahead, everyone keep shooting. Make sure you all have your masks on. But yeah, there's Stranger Things drive-in experience. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's going to really come back because of the pandemic is the drive-in. I feel like there's going to be a lot of drive-in theaters opening up. All over the place, or you're gonna see a lot of repurposed parking lots turned. Hey, we're gonna do a drive-in here because that's the safest way to do a movie-esque experience right now. I've seen there's drive-in concerts, there's drive-in wrestling shows, and there's certain. I think we discussed it here a few months ago about drive-in theaters. I know my wife had made a post about that, about how like we gotta go to the drive-in theater. I don't know how long we can have Ty in the car, corralled or pacified to watch a movie in the car. Yeah. The other countries had it under better control. Yeah, see, and then all the Americans started showing up and bringing the COVID with them. We're the typhoid Marys of the world right now. I saw on Twitter that in Australia, they actually have it pretty good under control. Where like I guess it was Western Australia. They didn't have any new cases for 8 months, so they just like, all right, we're gonna open everything back up, but there's still, I don't think there's still not anyone who wants to travel to Australia has to have like a mandatory 2-week quarantine if they arrive. Once they arrive, like, sorry, you gotta sit in the hole for two weeks. We gotta make sure you ain't got it, and if you have it, you know, run through it. Sorry, friendo. Tom Hanks got it here. They put a big black eye on us. We're gonna have to. They were embarrassed, but I think they actually paid everyone to stay home. I saw there was a big and it was a big Twitter thread where everyone's like, "Oh, how come Australia?" Because they were having big, music festivals, and you see a video of like, "Oh, all these people hanging around, not wearing masks." I was like, "What? Who found this video of 2019?" Ironically, Ryan says. Spanish flu was spread by American soldiers returning from WW1. Yes, Damon, I'm sorry if we have to be the bearer of bad news. But yes, Glow, which was supposed to come back for its 4th and final. They were going to wrap up the show with a 4th and final season. But and Netflix decided to cancel it. Sorry to deliver that news to you, Damon. But yeah. And a lot of people keep holding out hope that maybe they'll do a movie. And then Allison Brie, she went through this before with Community. She's like, don't hold your breath. You're not gonna, it's not gonna happen. I know. Believe me, the wife and I, we loved Glow. It's such a fun show. It was great. I loved all the friggin' little sly cameos from actual professional wrestlers throughout the show, and the writing and the directing was great. But yeah, Glow was another casualty of the pandemic. as many many things that we're losing to the pandemic. On top of naturally the human loss, but all the other things are going away. She was going to be She-Hulk. Who Allison Brie? She was going to be the what do you call it, Jennifer Walters. That would have been interesting. She-Hulk has always been one of my favorite comic book characters because she frequently breaks the fourth wall, just like Deadpool. She'd always talk to the comic book panel. She knew that she lived in a comic book. Yeah, that's right. Tatiana Maslany from Orphan Black is going to be She-Hulk. I totally forgot about. Thank you for bringing that up, Ryan. I totally had forgotten that was something that had already been announced. So, speaking of streaming, obviously, those of us who have Disney Plus, we have been enjoying The Mandalorian. Or maybe this past weekend, you maybe didn't enjoy well, there was certainly highs and lows. Spoiler alert! This is we're going to discuss the latest episode of The Mandalorian. We'll try not to be super spoilery, but the big things happened. Big things happened in this latest episode of Mandalorian. I had it spoiled for me on Twitter that morning, so I was like, well, okay. I have to learn to just not go on social media literally Friday or Thursday night or Friday morning, because people are literally watching it at freaking midnight as soon as it drops. You had to bail during this part last week, I guess, during the Grogu part. Safe this week. So I hate to. I want to talk about it while it's still fresh in everybody's mind. So as soon as so the wife and I. Oh, sorry, Damon. Okay. Well, you know what? Respect our buddy Damon here. We'll stay very general. I'm sure. I don't know if. Yeah, people are really being mean about Boba Fett. How can people be? Oh, am I too loud? All right. I need to. No, don't go, Damon. We'll try not to. We won't spoil it. I have to speak a little more softly. All right, Damon. Just mute for a minute, and then we'll talk about it. Pause for no, not for an hour. Just pause for just mute for 5 minutes. I have to lower my voice. We're still trying to get Tiger to bed. All right, so, all right, yeah, just no, don't go, Damon. Ryan will tell you when to unmute. No, we want you to stay. We don't want you to go. All right, we'll skip Mandalorian talk then, for now. So we watched The Mandalorian. Things happened. Yeah, when the episode's called The Tragedy, you just knew it was not going to go well. So right after The Mandalorian was finished, so obviously last Friday was December 1st or December 2nd. So Mulan had been added to Disney Plus because, as we discussed months ago, Disney Plus had tried that thing where they were trying to recoup the costs of Mulan by making you pay an extra $30, which I believe I think Daniel, you did, because it was cheaper for you to pay that $30 than to go to the movie theater so that your little girls could watch Mulan. And of course we waited, and then lo and behold, December 1st rolled around and they added Mulan to anyone who had Disney Plus. And so the wife and I, right after we finished, we had put Tiger to bed, we watched The Mandalorian, and we're like, all right. After that fastest 33 minutes of our lives, we're like, okay, let's watch. All right, we'll start up Mulan. We'll see how far we get. Because I had just shown my wife Mulan, I think last year. Yeah, see, Mulan, it was fun. You see, a lot of other people, I feel like a lot of people probably were going to trash the movie. We watched it, and we made it all the way through. I thought we were going to probably stop halfway and go to bed. But we made it all the way through. I felt like they made some, in fact, your girls watched it 5 times each the next day. Worth it, yeah. I felt it was good for what it was. They clearly made some decisions because it was, a live action movie. But it was, the best way I can describe it, it's the Hong Kong action movie version of Mulan. Where the other Mulan was very much Disney animation, at being Disney animation. I've met the directors when I was working at Disney. I got to meet the Bancroft brothers, the guys who directed Mulan. They're really nice guys. They drew me a Mushu and a click. I forget what the cricket's name was, but they drew me Mushu and the cricket. So I have that in my art collection. So that movie was very much generic Disney, songs and blah blah blah. But this Mulan, obviously, they had a full Asian cast, which was awesome. But I freaking lost my mind when I saw freaking Donnie Yen. I was like, hell yeah, freaking Daniel's older people like us. When we get to that, older people like us wanted, I'm gonna make a man out of you. Wanted Eddie Murphy's friggin' being a wild ass dragon. But yeah, it felt much more like a Hong Kong film. And when I did my movie challenge a few years ago, I watched a whole bunch of freaking Hong Kong movies, of freaking Donnie Yen and Jet Li and all that, like all those Hong Kong action movies, because they had a bunch of those on Netflix. I was just like chomping through those. And so, like, to see Donnie Yen and then see Jet Li as the Emperor, I thought that was pretty funny. And then they let him do some action at the end too. I was like, oh hey, that's right, Jet Li still had to show that he still got it, even though But I remember Hero was supposed to be his last Hong Kong epic, but leave it to Disney to back up the truck and be like, how about you do one more Hong Kong epic? But it's not a action movie epic. It's Mulan. You get to be the Emperor, but we'll let you do some cool stuff at the end. And you had freaking Donnie Yen. Oh, it's so cool. And see, Daniel, you watched Ip Man, so dude, Donnie Yen is the freaking bomb, dude. I was just like, oh, that was so cool. And yeah, especially in your case, Daniel, I think the movie is really good for young. It empowers young women, which obviously your little girls enjoyed the shit out of it. Clearly, I think that was the target audience for this film. It was the empowerment of young women, because I felt that was like the theme throughout the entire movie, where the Disney one was very much the redemption of the family, but this was like the empowerment of young women. That's what that's why I watched. That's why I took away from this Hong Kong version of Mulan. And it was I enjoyed it. My wife enjoyed it. I was gonna have her chime in, but she's trying to get the baby to sleep. But yeah, it was like, naturally I was just like, I thought it was funny, like when the army sergeant, said, we're gonna make men out of you. And I was like, there was sly little, hints towards that. Hero was his last kung fu epic. Oh, I'm sorry, his last kung fu epic, not his last Hong Kong epic. My mistake, Irv. But Donnie Yen looks like they fast forward his movement, but that's him on a slow day. Yeah, that's the joke I was making with my wife. I'm like, I'm not sure if they're slowing down or speeding it up for him, but they still made him look badass. But this movie, I wish it had been released in theaters, because it was really cool. It was I feel like, yeah, the target audience was not the previous generation. The target audience is like the next generation, like all the young people who will watch the movie and take away the kind of the lesson of like, you shouldn't hold young ladies down. Young ladies can contribute too. It's like, any girl who had power was like, she's a witch. Because you see the character that they added, the female bad guy who was powerful, who was like the real force behind the bad guys. And then, because she had power and she was female, like, no, you can't lead, you can't do this. She's a witch. But yeah, so he definitely made, but of course, the kids they're not gonna have trouble watching it on a TV over and over, or maybe on a tablet or a phone, however you're having to watching it. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. I of course, I was like I was trying not to compare it to the original, but obviously I saw the differences. They didn't have Mulan have a love interest friggin', of the guy in charge, or because in the previous one, she fell for the captain, but this time it's like, oh no, the captain was kind of like a part, like she was sort of kind of falling for one of the other dudes who was kind of being a dick to her. But yeah, there are obviously very distinct differences. But yeah, like I said, like this is very much the Hong Kong version. Like if Hong Kong cinema did Mulan, that's what we got, and it was a Disney-funded Hong Kong movie. Yeah, the song. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, all the songs. I don't know if I necessarily missed Donny Osmond, but my girls were happy they got rid of the love stuff. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I think that's the reason why they really like shied away from the lovey-doveys. I think they wanted it to really resonate more with the kids, because kids are going to be like, ew, gross, love. But it's more of the empowering young women, I think was the goal of this movie, and I think they achieved that. I think every young lady who watches this movie is going to be inspired to not be held down, to not be told they can't do something when they can do it. The relationship between Mulan and her father, I thought that was really nice, because like he would still try to encourage her, even though she showed that she had chi, she could wield chi. It was, I'm sure some dudes were like, oh, this is so cheesy and dumb. I was like, then this was not for you. You were not the target audience. Yeah, should have come out with an R-rated version. Yeah, I'm sure that would have been. See, that would have been for another different targeted audience. I think that was the investment. Like, some of the fights, I mean, don't get me wrong. If you had freaking like Jason Scott Lee and freaking Donnie Yen and all these freaking Hong Kong action stars doing like a super violent, release on HBO Max, yeah, I'll just go fire up a special ID or something to catch that. But yeah, I walked away from it going like, this was not the animated one. This is just another, as it is, it's another version, and I enjoyed it for what it was. I sat there, and I can objectively say, all right, no, this was fun. I mean, obviously, the original Mulan, I enjoyed that. Well, yeah, you want Eddie Murphy, right? I think that was probably like if I were to be not objective and be like, oh man, I sorely missed the sarcastic Mushu being the guardian. You just had the kind of like the generic phoenix flying around. But yeah, again, it was there was a lot of that. There was a lot of symbolism in the movie. Everything was a lot more symbolic, let everything kind of just like you're letting the environment kind of take you through the movie, which that's they were trying to do something different. I think that was the goal, like, because obviously Disney has been on this tear now where they're going through all their previous live action their previous animated hits, and just creating live action versions with a whole bunch of CG. We can trace this all the way back to when they did that redo of Cinderella, and it was really successful. So like, oh, let's just keep going, and they've just over and over. Like, you had that creepy Tim Burton Dumbo. You had the Beauty and the Beast that made $1 billion and just ensured that they're just gonna freaking remake everything now, from going henceforth. I still haven't seen the live action Beauty and the Beast, but I did see the live action which one? Jungle Book. I thought that was all right. I saw it in the theater. It was fine. It's like Johnny Favs continuing work for Disney, and that might have been it's like, hey, let's do some. He did some good business there, and that's what got him the Mandalorian gig. Hey, you do good work for us. Here, would you like to play with Star Wars for a while, Mr. Favs? And then the schlubby guy from Swingers continues to put out crazy content. Apparently, he's better behind the camera than he is in front of it. Yeah. And so now, like, one after the other now, like, we had no, I'm one of the few people, I haven't seen it, I think that live action Beauty and the Beast came out when I was like super duper broke and I was not going to the theater. I'm honestly, and it's weird. I've never been a big Beauty and the Beast. I think I've only seen the animated one once, and that was probably either I didn't go to the theater. I'm pretty sure. I think I watched it on, dare I say, like VHS, to put myself in how old I am. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, Hermione wouldn't have been. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know, for whatever, I've never been, I know all the songs because people sing them at karaoke all the time. I can tell you Gaston, I can tell you no one, blah, blah, Gaston, and be our guest. But clearly there is a market out there of people who want, like, because Little Mermaid's supposed to come out live action. I know that I was reading about they're going to do a Lilo and Stitch live action. I was just like, whoa, 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 Disney. Whoa, okay, I'm totally fine. You guys can do whatever you want with all these other films. Do a live action freaking Sleeping Beauty. Do a live action freaking Jungle Book. That creepy, horrible looking, emotionless Lion King. But dude, this touching Lilo and Stitch live action, no. That's where me personally, that's where I draw the line. I love Lilo and Stitch. That movie is awesome. That movie is a time capsule. You leave that one alone. I remember, I was like, I think at that time in my 20s, I was like, I didn't go to a lot of those. Yeah, exactly. Lilo and Stitch. Leave perfection alone. That movie freaking over delivered for what it was. Like, I don't think they expected it to be what it was. I I literally went to go see it because of all the trailers, like the trailers where Stitch was ruining all the other Disney movies. I was like, on that alone, I'm like, yo, okay, I want to see this. The Stitches begin the ship. Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. Love that movie. So good. It's so good. I was so happy. I was when I was working at Disney when they had re-released it on Blu-ray, and I was like, the day we got it in, I had it 3 weeks early, took it home, watched it, got it in the collection. So happy. I was like, yes. Then as around that time, all the other Disney movies that had come out around the time, I have those on Blu-ray now. I was like, I'd never watched up until the movie challenge. I had never watched Tarzan or Hercules or Emperor's New Groove. Yep, that's right. The soundtrack was all Elvis songs. It was such a wacky, weird, cool movie, freaking Lilo and Stitch. And then it wasn't until the movie challenge I went back and I watched, like a Hercules or Tarzan. I remember, I feel like many of you, like James, and like, you had never seen this movie? I'm like, nope. I was in my late 20s or late teens, early 20s. Oh, I'm too cool to watch that. I gotta go watch a new David Fincher movie. I gotta watch Seven. I gotta watch 12 Monkeys. I gotta go watch these really deep and dark movies. I'm not gonna watch no Disney movie. Like when you're a shithead when you're in your late teens, early 20s, and you think you're too cool, and watch Clerks 500 times because this crazy black and white art movie, and you think you're so cool. I'm not gonna watch animated kids movies. And then you hit like your late 30s and you go back and watch those Disney movies. Like, hey, you know what? These were all pretty good. Whoops. Guess I missed out back then, but I was still able to watch them now. Lilo and Stitch is where I draw the line. In a row? Yeah, Hercules. There were several of those where I was like kicking myself. Emperor's New Groove is probably the one where, like, I remember I did not want to watch that at all, simply because on a certain level, I cannot tolerate David Spade. But Emperor's New Groove was like, because Jai, when he and I worked together at GameStop, he would quote that movie all the time, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yay, I'm a llama again. I just look at him like, what, you're a llama again? And he was frequently devastated that I had never seen that movie. And I was like, it looks like a weird movie. And again, also, David Spade. Seriously? No. How can a movie with him and it be cool? I mean, Tommy Boy notwithstanding, but... You see, Daniel Wong, you were in the same boat as me, but go, when you got some time, when you and your girls want to sit down and watch a weird, funny movie, fire up Emperor's New Groove with your kids and watch it and just like, oh, there's Patrick Warburton, freaking... I was like, oh, Brock Sampson is a sidekick. All right, I can work with this. Oh, John Goodman's the other character. All right, this is cool. Eartha Kitt? Okay. I felt like the other friggin' Django Unchained Leo DiCaprio made. Oh, you had my interest. Now you have my attention. Yeah, that movie it turned out to be way funnier and way better than I ever thought. I showed it to Rosa last year. And I think she was of the same opinion. She's like, oh, this movie just seems weird. And then I was like, yeah, it is weird, and it's hilarious. I was completely and utterly late to the party on that movie. And then I we're posting that one up during the movie challenge, and Jai's like, finally! Pull the lever, Grunk! A lot of fun stuff, yeah. Yeah. This has been a commercial for Disney Plus. Man, yeah, but that's I guess that's the good and the bad of these streaming services. Hey, you can find all this cool stuff, but you have to subscribe to the one to each specific one to get what you're looking for. You want to watch all those cool FX shows, like What We Do in the Shadows? You gotta go get Hulu. You want to watch all that crazy stuff that Netflix is doing? You gotta get Netflix. You want to see Warner Brothers stuff? You gotta do HBO Max. Want to see all the Disney stuff? Gotta do Disney Plus. I guess that's the compromise. It's insane. Where like I used to be a person. Yeah, somehow that's cheaper than cable. I guess you pick and choose, or you share logins. Oh, Ryan, are you talking about Emperor's New Groove? Is that your favorite comedy now, or? Yeah, somehow it's cheaper than cable. It kind of just works out. I think it's funny. I think it's just easier to digest when you're like, it's easier to digest when it's only like, oh, Disney Plus is $6. Hulu, like I think, What We Do in the Shadows. Oh yeah, What We Do in the Shadows is like the best show. That is just amazing. Me and the wife are still behind. We have to find time to sit down and fire that up. Because Taika's and freaking Jermaine's freaking brainchild is amazing. See, and Daniel, see that right now Daniel's making the joke. It's like, oh. It's like, oh, it's going to circle back around. We're like, oh, everything's going to be bundled together in one. Oh, wait, we're paying for cable again. Except now it's just dependent on a crappy, spotty internet connection that might get capped next year if that idiot at the FCC doesn't get fired or destroyed. Internet caps, what? All my streaming? What are you talking about? Oh no! It's all going to circle back around. Go back 3.5 years where I talked about the streaming wars become they have. When Pete was telling me, like, it's funny because Warner's got burned because they tried to do a separate, DC universe. They tried to put all the superhero. They thought their superhero brand was strong enough they could have an app on its own, and unfortunately, they learned that it was not as strong enough, as strong as they thought. You have Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, and it was not enough to carry an app. Yeah. Now they have to fold. All that's just been folded into HBO Max. They left all the comic books behind. All the comic books are now the DC universe has become just a comic book app, and all the Warner Brothers stuff is all the superhero stuff has got moved over to HBO Max. Yeah, the streaming wars are insane. Was it I don't know who was in charge of Quibi. That ridiculous, like, oh, everything's under 10 minutes. Yeah, that went under in less than 3 months. It was insane. They burned through all their venture capital and like, oh, what? How do we burn through a couple of $1 billion? Like, I was passively interested in that Quibi thing simply because they had Reno 911, and that's the show I really enjoyed back in the day. And like they put all those crazy characters back together from the state to do more Reno 911. I'm like, how do you fumble a freaking streaming service during a pandemic? Yeah, Quibi. Yeah, that service lasted as long as a Quibi. Where the dumb campaign, you had Chance the Rapper going, oh, how long is the wait? About a Quibi. Yeah, people had nothing better to do, and yet this service failed. Like, yeah, they had some crazy like show, like, yeah, they put some big actors into it, but it was only 10 minutes at a time. Not an ideal way to watch a TV show. Just, 22 minutes is kind of like comedy. You're gonna do a drama, you want to get up to that 40-minute mark. But let's do a drama 9.5 minutes at a time. Yeah, they burned all their venture capital on exclusive shows that I don't know what they're gonna do with all these fragmented shows. Like, I don't see like Netflix or Hulu standing around going, nah, we ain't paying for those. They're gonna be like my boss, we'll give you 5 cents on the dollar for all those shows. It's like, I'm hoping that all those Reno 911s get uploaded somewhere. And I hope they put them all on YouTube. And see, that's another one, another streaming service that failed, the YouTube Premium. That friggin' went by the wayside, and now we're able to watch Cobra Kai on Netflix, which is something else I also need to catch up on. That's the funny thing. Whenever someone tells me, it's like, oh, I can never find anything to watch, I'm like, either you only have one streaming service, or you're not really looking. You're not looking that hard. Because if I were to turn around and go fire up all that stuff, Netflix can pull it off like they do with all those anthology series like Love and Robots. So yeah, there's so many weird things to watch. I just finished a few weeks ago. Like a couple years ago, I started watching that Lemony Snicket's series of Fortunate Events. I forget if I don't know if sorry if this is deja vu for you guys. If I talked about it last week, I finally I threw it on when I was here doing laundry at home, and I'm like, oh, I haven't finished that. Let me finish that show. And it's like, oh, there's something out there. Like a few years ago, like I was binging through Star Trek Next Generation. That's not something new, but I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't remember any of these episodes from when I was a kid. Let me just go through them. I'm sure they're all now on CBS's freaking platform, but I'm not subscribing to that one. Sorry. My Star Trek fandom can only go so far. Oh, MPH as Count Olaf, which was really, really good. Yeah. It's weird. You know what? Jim Carrey has like, I have like, I don't know. Over time, I think when I was younger, I thought Jim Carrey was like the funniest thing ever. But as I've gotten older and older, I've like grown weirdly tired of Jim Carrey. Like I remember watching Dumb and Dumber 2 TO, and I was just like, this is funny, I guess. And then when he was showing up on SNL as Biden, I was kind of like, the only thing he did good was doing the like bringing back one of his standard hits. Yeah, now he's a psycho. Yeah, he's out of his mind. Yeah. I think that's where I tried watching a Showtime show, like was it a couple of years ago, like he had that weird Showtime show. I tried watching an episode and I was like, no. Yeah, Jim Carrey is tired of Jim Carrey. I think it was right around Man on the Moon where he was like basically like trying to be Andy Kaufman, and it was just like it's been kind of a slow descent since then. Okay, I guess for me personally. It's like, I remember not liking Cable Guy, but Ace Ventura, that was funny. Dumb and Dumber, that was funny. Liar, liar. What? Bruce Almighty. You know what? I still have never watched it. I watched the Steve Carell, Evan Almighty, but I haven't watched Bruce Almighty. Yeah, that's the thing. I think there's a documentary about that. He was a giant asshole during Man on the Moon because he was trying to be Andy Kaufman. Yeah, I think he was a terrible human. I think that was like peak. He was trying to get his Academy Award nomination. I don't know if he got nominated or not. And then it was like after that, it's been like, I think it was like a while ago. I think I watched some of the Truman Show, and I'm like, that's just weird. It didn't help that the director really creeped me out. Not the actual movie director. Why can't I remember Ed Harris's character? Was just like, I can't get with this. This is just creepy, and I don't like it. Poor Biff Tannen throwing himself away in that movie. Yeah, Jim Carrey has been. Yeah, I don't know. Results may vary. But I think you said it best there, Irv. Jim Carrey is tired of Jim Carrey. But yeah, all these streaming. But yeah, circle back. Yeah, MPH as Count Olaf was really great. Yeah. Oh, there you go, Daniel Wong. Fire Marshal Bill was hilarious when I was 12. Yeah, I was talking about that with one of my coworkers the other day, where I was like, oh yeah, In Living Color was hilarious. I got all the DVD sets. Some of the stuff doesn't hold up, but some of it does. So I'm like, it's really incredibly racist and sexist and homophobic. But you know what? Once you get past all that, it was actually kind of funny. It's like, wow, the late 80s comedy. Woof, a lot of stuff wouldn't fly now. I got all those DVD sets because I'm pretty sure that's not on any streaming service. If Liz Lemon got 4 episodes freaking deleted because of blackface, I can't imagine Living Color would make it very far. J-Lo, man, you go back and see that J-Lo was so white. She was as white as this napkin. J-Lo was this white. I shit you not. This pale. Go look it up. She was this pale. Jenny from the block hadn't met a tanning bed. and not because it really just stands out because you have J-Lo and then you have the black dancers. So you have this really stark contrast. I'll have to agree with that. She actually did get hotter over time. It is possible. The great example I always like to cite is frickin' Scully, Gillian Anderson. As she gets older, she has gotten more and more attractive. Like X-Files reboot Scully. My God. I was dead. Hannibal, she was on Hannibal, and then she was in American Gods, and I was just like, how is this woman getting hotter? She is defying Father Time. I don't understand it. But yeah, J-Lo is another. Yeah, she can. If you take care of yourself, I guess you look better as you get older. I'm sure that's why many women hate J-Lo, and many others admire her because she. The Elizabeth Hurley effect. You get tighter and you get more attractive. It works in some cases and doesn't work in others. I really feel like I'm treading into some dangerous territory here. But yeah, no, it does. Yeah, you go back and you see J-Lo on In Living Color, and you're like, are we sure that's J-Lo? It's funny because in the season 3 DVD, money. There you go. Yeah. When you have the resources, you can afford to take care of yourself. I'm really treading into dangerous territory here. Oh my gosh. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember season 3 of the DVD is like, oh, it made a big deal. Oh, J-Lo's on this season. Oh no, Ryan, you're gonna have to make me break it out. Are you trying to tell me that I had myself a little bit of a J-Lo in my White House? Yeah, that's a fun rumor. I like that one. Honestly, I'm shocked I haven't done more of my bad impressions on this. 203 episodes, and only in the most recent episodes I've been doing my bad impressions of Vince McMahon, and and now this week breaking out my old Bill Clinton. Oh man, I love big butts and I cannot lie. Oh boy. Yeah, there's time. There's still plenty of time to do bad impressions, especially since I have been without a co-host for so long. He was using the Kennedy tunnels. Because as Pete Molini has brought up many times on this show, JFK, he suffered from serious migraines that could only be cured by vigorous sexual intercourse. Bring me up Marilyn Monroe. I have a bad headache. I heard that she's a bit of a hellcat. Ara. Bring me some whores. I have a headache. I'm the leader of the free world. And I need to relieve myself. I guess realistically, I guess that's like this probably was a dopamine issue, and instead of rigorous sexual congress, they probably just could have gotten some pills, get him a little Zoloft. No, see, I know this is bad. When I'm killing me, this is bad. My boss has asked me, like, how do you do the podcast by yourself? Well, generally, I try to amuse myself, but I can't amuse myself to the point where I'm making myself laugh, because that's bad on a podcast. If I'm, like, having to gasp for air, this is not entertaining. I mean, generally, it can't be that entertaining. But, yeah, when Pete Molini told me that one day, I was like, what? What? That's why Marilyn Monroe was always around. Man. I remember Googling that. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna have to look that up to see if this is true or well, I guess that's not something you verify its accuracy. It's just you find the people who've spread this rumor and see how it's grown over 50, 60 years. Poor old Jackie O. Oh, I was just about to make a terrible joke. My boss frequently tells me, like, when I tell some incredibly off-color jokes at work, and my boss is like, you're going to hell. I'm like, I know. I have reservations. And yes, I don't tell a lot of these off-color jokes on the podcast because this is being documented for the internet. That's what Sam was for. Sam would say the things that I could not say. Or I would not want to say, have documented. I can't imagine Tiger, 15 years from now, going through YouTube, like, hey, wait, this is my dad. Let's see this. Oh my God, Dad said horrible things. I'm killing me now. I'm sorry, Tiger. Your dad. And we're like, yeah. That you know what's funny, Daniel? It's funny. That was a subject that came up today at work. Because we were talking about Justin Trudeau, and my boss is like, well, he's screwed. He's done blackface twice. And I was just like, oh man, I can't run for public office. I'm like, I've done blackface twice too. And then my brother comes cruising in 3 times. I'm like, I have done blackface 3 times in the past. Morpheus for Halloween. Nick Fury for Halloween. And then I forgot whatever Samuel Jackson character in Jurassic Park was for Halloween. Yeah, I can never run for any public office ever. I'll just stay a low-level podcaster forever. Yeah, there's documented proof on social media of at least 2 of those. I'm pretty sure. At least one. There is documented proof. I think it was the Sam Jackson one. Whoops. Never running for public office. I was a political scientist. I know well enough not to where I don't belong. And on that note, it has been exactly an hour now, according to my audio program here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sitting here for my tanking of any public office. This video will be uploaded to Facebook and YouTube. This audio will be put on the internet. I am not going to edit this out because you know what? Comedy is what's most important. Comedy, I frequently tell my wife, comedy comes first. And this is too funny to edit out. I live with the consequences of my stupidity. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. Yeah, my Twitter is like that. That's another thing where I am my Twitter right now is ridiculous. Go to my Twitter at Dre GP Podcast. I am, as the kids say, I am out of pocket. Oh no, my Twitter. I can't blame my fans for what I did today on Twitter. I have a tweet that continually gets likes, and it's for like the wrong reasons. I used basketball terminology to describe the actions of a porn star. At Dre GP Podcast. Go to our Instagram where it's slightly more wholesome. I'm just going to post up pictures of ridiculous video games we're selling at work. And a cute photo of my son with a PS4 controller, which I'm sure most of you who are watching live have already seen that picture, but hey, go check out our Instagram at Dre GP Podcast. We have a YouTube page. I'll update it one of these days when I'm not processing thousands of orders at work. Yeah, you know what, Ryan? That's probably a good call. Don't do Twitter. Twitter is a cesspool of death and destruction. I do Twitter just to promote the podcast and to be ridiculous and follow news. Yeah, Ryan, you'd get in all the trouble in the world. Don't do Twitter. I'll post up screenshots on Instagram or Facebook of the ridiculous things I did today. It's funny, as we were doing the show, I kept seeing notifications from Twitter of people liking my tweet. All these strangers who thought my tweet was hilarious. I am a monster, what can I tell you? Be awesome like Ryan and Daniel and our other friend Art, who is probably playing Destiny 2 right now. And go check out our Patreon. We have 3 awesome patrons. You can join them as patrons if you want to contribute to the show financially. If you cannot contribute to the show financially, you can always like our videos. You can share our videos. You can go to Instagram and like our photos. You can always just there's plenty of ways to contribute to the show without contributing money. You can just share, like the videos. That helps as well. But if you want to contribute financially, patreon.com and search for Dre's Geek Philosophy Podcast. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll be back here next week. Plenty of, I'm making a concerted effort to try to at least put up 1 or 2 photos on our Instagram every day. So be sure to check out our IG as well. So yeah, avoid Twitter. If you're brave enough to go on Twitter, I'm being ridiculous on it, but our IG is a lot more wholesome, to say the least. Thank you for watching. See you next week. Thanks for the great show, guys. The show is great because you guys contribute to it literally live on the show. Our live contributors here. Thank you, Ryan, Daniel, Irv, James. Poor Damon, who left because we were going to talk Mandalorian. Oh, well, Damon's not here. Boba Fett. Oh my God, how awesome was Boba Fett? Warren chiming in. Let me see who else chimed in. I want to make sure I give credit to everybody. Who else chimed in here? We had a bunch of, it was a lot of Daniel, Ryan, Irv got in there, James got in there, Anthony Toy, who was on earlier, he was contributing too. Thank you guys so much. Without you guys chiming in, it'd just be me staring at a camera going, what dumb thing am I going to try to say next? I am inspired to say funnier dumb things because of you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.